Hello and welcome back to another We Ourselves video. Today I want to give my review of the American Society of Magical Negroes. Did I like it? Did I hate it? Was it what I expected given my teaser trailer review? Or did it fail on all points? But I'll discuss all of those things and more in this video today. Spoiler warning up front. I'm not going to try to do a spoiler-free version and then go into the spoilers. I'm just going to talk about the movie, and it will spoil some things in the movie if you plan to see it. Although I suspect that most people won't go and see it, and I think that's a mistake. If you have any interest in seeing this movie, go and see it for yourself and don't rely on what I or anybody else says. So with that warning out of the way, let's go forward. I have to say that when I bought my ticket, I was unsure of even seeing this movie. I was unsure that I would even get any enjoyment out of it. In fact, I was afraid that I was going to hate watch it because of all the things that have already been said and my own impressions of the teaser. So I was thinking all of this when I finally bought my ticket to go and see this movie, and I had to tell myself, just sit there and watch it for what it is and let go of all those other negative expectations. Did I like it? Did I hate it? I did not hate it. There were things in there that I really liked. There are a ton of really topical and important points that come up in this movie. Unfortunately, the movie did not go into them, and I will get to that later because this movie was used as a vehicle to make a different statement. We don't even get a resolution to the whole Society of American Magical Negroes. They still exist at the end of the movie, and they go on with what they're doing because at the end of the day, the movie was not really even about that. It was about the writer-director making a statement that I feel he was making directly to the black community. Even though they have white characters in there, and even though Justice Smith's character, Aaron, the main character, is making his impassioned monologue and statement to the white characters in the movie, what they're really doing is talking to us, the Black American community, or should I say society. So again, when it comes to who this movie is made for, it's made for us. It's made for Black Americans, foundational Americans. There's a lot of people that are focusing on that. They're focusing on the fact that the writer-director is biracial and he was raised by a white mom and he's married to a white woman. And it's like, I don't think people get that when they focus on that and they complain about that, they are actually living up to what this movie is saying to you. Because I'm going to get to that. But what this movie is saying is that even though they're talking about magical Negroes, they're talking about the black community in general and their reaction to you because of the feeling of not being included. That literally is the message of this film. They're just using the trope of the magical Negro as a way to tell that story. So is the writer-director saying something? Yeah, but is it just a swirl of fantasy? I disagree for two reasons. It's not a fantasy. It's not like the main actress is a white woman, like a blonde woman or something like that. So it's literally a fantasy. The second thing is it really a swirl or fantasy if the person themselves are biracial? Are they only acceptable to our community if they deny half their heritage? Justice Smith and the writer-director are the product of biracial unions. I think in both cases, their moms were white. So if either one of these decide to date and or marry a white person, is that really being a swirler? Is that a swirler fantasy? Because that's half of their heritage. And so that's why I disagree with that name being applied to it. Again, was there a message being sent by people in their situation to the larger black community? Yes. But in terms of calling it a swirler fantasy and demonizing these people because they were raised by a white mom and married to a white woman, it's like, that's their mom, okay? That's their moms. Are they supposed to hate their moms who raised them, who fed them, who, if they had a boo-boo, they put the bandage on them, they encouraged them, they probably supported them in their creative life and their activities? Why should they deny that just to feel acceptable to a larger black community? And I think when we attack them in that way, you are living up to what the society in this movie represents. Because the main character, again, spoilers, is kicked out of the society because he doesn't adhere to their ideas. It's not about whether or not you can date a person of a different race. It's the fact, and it's not even the fact that if you can date or not, because you can within the society. You just can't date the person that's attached to your client. That's a big no-no. And there's another one in there where they have the quote-unquote angry black woman who had enough and finally told her client off, and she's kicked out too. So again, there's a lot of commentary that's pointed right at the black community on behalf of the writer-director and Justice Smith playing Aaron, who is also comes from the same background as the writer-director. It's clear that the American Society of Magical Negroes are the black community. Black Americans, non-immigrant blacks, black Americans, and black biracial Americans. So yeah, swirl or fantasy, I don't see how you can apply that to somebody who is literally half white. They feel like they're on the outside of a community because they're not, especially Justice Smith. He's not white. Yes, he has a white mom, but visibly he's a minority. So where does he fit in? Barack Obama was seen as a black man, and he talked about that. Unless he told you he had a white mom, you would not know that. Because feature-wise, he is minority. He looks like a black man outwardly, and that's how he's judged. And so that is the larger message here in the American Society of Magical Negroes. It's like it's this closed society, and unless you follow the rules, you are kicked out. To me, that is the big message, not a swirl or fantasy. I don't even think the love story even had to be in there because that wasn't the main character's problem. The main character's problem was a lack of confidence. And there's a point in the movie where they get into an excellent conversation about confidence, where the white character believes that the fact that he got this golden opportunity is just evidence that he was qualified for it. Whereas the Aaron character is like saying, well, this other woman, she actually did all the work. And you actually see it in the movie. They say she did all the work to make it possible, but they chose the white guy because he fit into the culture, you know. But for the white guy, he did not see that. All he saw is the fact that he got it meant that he was qualified, and the fact that she didn't get it meant that she wasn't qualified. And if you intervened, such as diversity and inclusion and equity programs, if you intervened and gave it to her anyway, then you would just be messing her up because she did not earn it. That was literally his mindset. The idea that he got it wasn't because he was better qualified, it's because he fit the culture of the company. That was never even on his mind. And to me, that was an excellent conversation. There's another conversation, might even be part of the same one, where Aaron character is saying to the white guy, it's like, but if you live in a culture where from the time you're born, your opinion, your very existence, there is a value put on it so that you have this confidence in who you are and what you represent from the time you're born. Well, when you grow up with that confidence, then aren't you more likely to do better as opposed to somebody like him or a black person who's constantly having their worth, their value questioned? And they're not instilled with confidence. They are constantly bombarded with things which sap their confidence. Then you want to try to evaluate, okay, this person is performing less than me, so that means that he is less qualified or he's less able. But what it really is that from birth, you were instilled in the society with confidence. And so to me, that's another very important thing that was brought out in the movie. But we really don't go anywhere with that because there's too many things happening. And I think that's a very important conversation to have because, you know, in this day and age of vibrational manifestation and your outlook determines your vibrational signature and law of attraction and stuff like that, like the white man in the movie, he's discounting all these other factors that are going into why he got that position. That ultimately just says that you fit the corporate culture. So we're going to give it to you to present it versus the woman who actually did the work. And so you think about that. Again, fantastic topic to bring up, but you have this love story on top of it. Then you have all this other stuff. And I really feel like there are so many things that were brought up in this movie that were never fully addressed because the writer-director had an agenda and it all revolved down to that final monologue. It was there. I also had noticed that a lot of the people watching it, first of all, there was only a handful of people in the movie theater, and most were older. Okay. And I asked one guy when I came out, it's like, what did you think of the movie? And it was hard for him to put it into words. You know, I think at heart, there was a disappointment, the feeling that it could have been so much more, but by the end, it just let all the really heavy topics just go by the wayside for what felt like a slapped on love story angle. Once Aaron, the main character, speaks his mind for what he feels like is the first time in his life, and when he really confronts the white people, and again, he's really talking to the black community itself, all the other society members watch what happened. And so what they do is they also change. They start speaking their mind to the white people who are their clients. And I think that's why people said that the ending wasn't earned, because there's this big change where they're speaking their mind, but they still have their magic powers. And by the way, he's still put out of the society, and he keeps his memory because the David Alan Grier character can't take his memories. He tries, but it doesn't work. But yet apparently the society is still magical. So nothing is really solved. And I think one of the key dangerous things is that their attention is still on helping white people and soothing white people's problem. Only now, even though they're speaking their mind, they're still super attentive, and all of their focus and energy is still on helping white people. And you see them talking to them in gentle tones. So even though Aaron went off and he even was yelling and stuff like that, that's still unacceptable to the society. So even though they are quote unquote speaking their mind, they're still being very gentle with their approach to their white clients. And so I guess that's why Aaron and also the black woman who was kicked out, they didn't apologize to her and bring her back because she spoke her mind. I guess because, again, she got angry like Aaron did. You can't get angry with white people. Even if you speak your mind, you still have to be gentle with it. They still exist. They're still exclusive. They still have their magical powers. They are still focused exclusively on helping white people. So this trope of the magical Negro being there to solely help white people is still maintained. Not only was the ending not earned, it really didn't solve anything in the larger picture, which is what upsets many people who've seen the movie, including me. And the last thing that I have to say is that this movie does something very dangerous. Well, it does a lot of things that are dangerous, but it does something that's very dangerous. It implies that the trope of the magical Negro was created and or came out of legitimate Black American lineage and experience post-slavery, pre-civil rights, where we were still in direct physical danger of, being lynched, having our houses burned, being attacked, and everything like that. So they imply that the magical Negro in the movie and the trope itself in movies, in American movies, was an outgrowth of that, and that's totally false. The trope was created by white Hollywood because that was their view of black people. That you can be in these movies, but you're only here to help the white protagonist. You're only here, if you have any power, it's to soothe the white protagonist. The creation of that myth, that negative trope, did not come out of the black experience, but the movie tries to attach our real adjustments and maneuvering to exist in a white-dominated American society. They try to link that real world thing to this trope, and they have nothing to do with each other. That trope was created by white Hollywood to perpetually put black people, black culture, black actors, actresses in a subservient role to the white main character. We're only there to be your sidekick, to be your moral compass when you're down, to basically help you. But the movie tries to say that that came out of our real life struggle, and that's false and that's untrue. Are there examples where we have to code switch and hold our tongue and things like that? Yes. But we are not doing that to soothe the mind of white people. We are doing that to keep the peace. If we're working in a corporate environment or educational environment or institutional environment, we keep our peace so that we keep the peace. We're not doing that to help them to be their conscience. We aren't the American Society of magical Negroes in real life. We are just code switching because we just want to go to work, finish, and go to hell home. Okay. And so that's why many of us do that, but it's not out of this desire to help white people. That trope, this idea that we exist to serve white people and all our energy and magic is used for white people, that was invented by white people as a negative trope, which I'm not surprised why it was given the green light and why it was funded by the very Hollywood system that created that negative trope. Those are my comments. That's what I think of the movie. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't a ha-ha comedy. There were some things that might have been a little humorous, and there were things that were taken too far. There were some really important things that were mentioned and were never expanded on because there was a message, and I still hold by this, that the message was from the point of view of the writer-director, who is a biracial guy. To me, it really doesn't matter if he's married to a white woman. I just think it's more of a biracial because biracial people, particularly the ones who outwardly have features that mark them as minority, therefore they are judged and seen as a minority in the larger American society, they still have to struggle to find a place. And I think this film was a message from them to the Black community on how we exclude them or judge them or make them stick to a code to prove their worthiness. That's what it was at the end of the day. That's the message. And they just applied this trope to have a controversial name. And at the end, I think it's really dangerous because you're trying to say that we created the trope of the magical Negro out of our real life struggle. And that's a total lie. And that's a dangerous thing for the movie to try to do. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. As always, like, subscribe, and share. And if you saw it, you can leave your comments. So with that, I will see you in the next video.